Okay, welcome everyone. Today we have a lot of people join us for the meeting today. As usual, it's an Asian philosophy meetup. So as usual, I'm going to go over our schedule first. Okay, so right now I'm quite diligent to work on the book, the Feng Youlan's The Short History of Chinese Philosophy, and today we are on Chapter 6. The title is The First Phase of Taoism, Yang Zhu. Okay. Next week, we're talking about Mencius, who is the second important philosopher in Confucian schools. Okay, so that will be next week. And the week after, I'm going to talk another philosophy, which we call the School of Names. And sometimes it's people call them debater, dialections, and whatever you want to call. Okay, so that will be on the end of May. And then I will take 2 weeks off and then come back on June 15. And probably we will start with Bhagavad Gita and then continue to go through this book because I want to finish this book this year and finish Bhagavad Gita this year. So that's the project we try to do today. So back to today's subject. Today we are going to go to the chapter 6. The topic is the first phase of Taoism. The philosopher or the philosophy we are going to talk about is Yang Zhu, and you may see a different spelling in the book. You do is spelled C-U-I, and the modern spelling is Z-H-U, spells Zhu. Okay, so we may not, I don't know how many people, I know Mark, he is a big fan of Yang Zhu, and then anyone know about him or anybody have some brief idea or concept about him, willing to share briefly, 20 seconds, something like this. Anyone have an idea, or I will assume nobody have an idea, or you can raise your hand if you are willing to share. No? So I will probably have to assume nobody read about him, and then go back to this book. The book I'm talking about is a book titled called A Short History of Chinese Philosophy, which was published in 1947, and Feng Youlan, a Chinese philosopher who taught in University of Pennsylvania, and that's kind of his concise version of lecture note. And the person called Feng Youlan, he lived from 1895 to 1900 in China, and right after the finish or the end of Cultural Revolution. So you can imagine his life is not peaceful. Okay, let's put it this way. So forget about his political life, political view, and we are going to focus on the book he's writing, which is A Short History of Chinese Philosophy. And I show this one today because I think this book is, that's the actual book. Actually, I think it's over 1,000 pages, A History of Chinese Philosophy. It has 2 volumes. Okay, so right now I post in the meetup, which is the concise version. That's why I call A Short History of Chinese Philosophy. So I do have ambition to go through this big book, and then I just have to figure out how to do it. And right now we are going through the concise version, which already has a 28 chapter. So we will go through one by one, and one each week. And I'd like to compare this book to the other book from Bertrand Russell, The History of Western Philosophy. Some people has been with me reading the History of Western Philosophy by Bertrand Russell during the pandemic. And then I do find out these two books are interesting because they are not textbook and they bring philosopher in life and kind of like introduce in a different way, not like a textbook or Wikipedia, just tell you all the fact and nothing else. So the downside is you may say it's biased, okay? It's not objective, okay? But we all know, so that's why I bring up in the meetup, so we can discuss if you have a question, and if you disagree, feel free to disagree. So that's the purpose. I'm using this book, and then Madeline, please.
Yes, well, I wanted to say, first of all, how much I appreciate this. And also I read part of Bertrand Russell with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm a little more familiar with the style of writing Western philosophy. And I have much more of an appreciation for how Feng Youlan has done it. Because before I didn't really understand that he had written it in a way that Westerners could understand. But now that I have read some Chinese philosophy, I can see what a difference it is in style. That so much of the teaching is what to Westerners would look like elliptical statements, metaphors, collections of sayings. And unless you are used to the writing style, it's much more difficult to understand than something weighty yet witty, like Bertrand Russell's book, which I liked a lot, although some have pointed out that he is heavily biased on the side of logic.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was his field.
Yeah. So yeah, he criticized every philosophy except himself. That's my conclusion. So, but thank you, Madeline. So for example, what I get is in Bertrand Russell, you will see the philosophy like Bacon talk to Descartes, Bacon on the other side, and then Rousseau and John Locke the other side. You have Leibniz, you have Hume, you have Kant, you have Hegel. They all different. They kind of have the conversation to each other. Same as this book, History of Chinese Philosophy or Short History of Chinese Philosophy. Gradually, you will see, like 2 weeks ago, we talked about Confucius as the first teacher. And then last week, we talked about Mozi, okay, the Mozi, which the title is the first opponent to Confucius. He is talking to Confucius. His comment is Confucius' philosophy will ruin the world, okay? And then today, we talk about the so-called the first phase of Taoism, okay, which is Yang Zhu, which is also go to the totally upside of Mozi's philosophy. And the next week, we talk about so-called idealistic wing of Confucianism, Mencius. Mencius kind of Confucian scholar, but he stayed between, okay, Mozi and Yang Zhu. And we call it, Feng Youlan call it the idealistic wing. So later on in week 13, okay, chapter 13, he talked another one called the realistic wing of Confucianism, which is Xunzi. Okay, it's against Mencius. Even both Mencius and Xunzi belong to the Confucian school. So I think that's the dynamic I try to bring in, and which will bring more color in the philosophy. So you will not see philosophy, Chinese philosophy, as all kind of moral teaching you have to follow. So it has logic. They are argue against each other. So back to the background we have. Okay, we are still in the very ancient time, which is about 2,500 years ago from today. Unlike Confucius, we know exactly, well, should I say exactly, but based on his historical account, we know exactly which year, which day he was born. Okay, but today we deal with another person called Yang Zhu. Okay, we don't know. Okay, which year he was born, where he was born, and what kind of person he is. We don't know, but we know they have this kind of person. His name is Yang Zhu, and he has his own philosophy. And his philosophy was very, very popular. Okay, during the spring, autumn, and the warring state time. We are sure in the warring state time, about 300 BCE, his philosophy is very, very popular. Okay, unlike today, a lot of people, most of people not heard about him. But during that time, so 2,300 years ago, his philosophy is very, very popular. But unfortunately, we don't know who he is. So last we try to bring him to the picture today, and then you will get some idea on that. So I divided today's section to 5 parts. Okay, so we are going to first we try to know about Yang Zhu. Okay, even we don't have a solid historical account, but we try to understand what we have. Then number 2, we talk about his philosophy. Let's call him Yangism. Okay, so and that's the big part of this one. Then we go to some Taoism, okay, texts, because Taoism texts include some of Yang Zhu's or Yangism in the text, Dao De Jing and the Zhuangzi. So we hope we have time to read some of the Dao De Jing and the Zhuangzi about the spirit or philosophy of Yangism. Then we can go to Mencius, which also talk about Yangism, okay, or Yang Zhu's philosophy, which is very popular during his time. And then, of course, that's a criticize about Yang Zhu's philosophy. And we will continue next week, talk about Mencius. Finally, we will talk about how does Yangism or this kind of philosophy in today, okay, does it exist today or not? So that's what I would like to talk about for today. So before I go to the first part, and any question, comment, request, or anybody read it and any part want me to focus? Okay, so one thing I know sometimes you put a chat on that, so just have to let everyone know I'm not able to read the chat, so you'd better raise your hand so I can answer the question, or something you can send a private email through Meetup to me after the meeting. So first, let's talk about who is Yang Zhu. Okay, so of course, this information I copied from Wikipedia. Okay, so I will assume that's called the consensus. Okay, so Yang Zhu, his last name is Yang, first name is Zhu, and roughly was between 440 and 360 BCE, and was a Chinese philosophy during the warring state period of time. And then in Wikipedia talk about he is an early ethical egoism, okay, alternative to Mozi and the Confucian thought. So according to Wikipedia, the 3 important philosophy, okay, ethical egoist and the Mohist, which we talked about last week, which we talked last week, and the Confucians we talked about 2 weeks ago. Okay, so that's the 3 popular philosophy. And unlike Confucius has analect as his book, that's put this one, and Mozi has Mozi as his book. Of course, they are compiled by himself, compiled by their disciples. Yang Zhu doesn't have a book, dedicated book about his philosophy. So what we have is through a few books, Huainanzi, which is in probably on the 200 BCE or 100 BCE, okay, it's kind of encyclopedia during that time. Okay, the book has to collect some of the writing. Lüshi Chunqiu, also kind of encyclopedia kind of book, also have some of that. Mencius talk about him a lot. Okay, but mostly is criticizing. Okay, and then Zhuangzi, okay, has some, doesn't have mention about his name, but Zhuangzi talk about his philosophy. Liezi, okay, that's another book we talk about later. Okay, is the Liezi we'll talk about later, has 8 chapters. They have 1 chapter is about Yang Zhu. Okay, but we don't know. Okay, is that original or by his disciple or people add on later? But at least this part, Liezi, is the main source of today. I mean, today, this meetup, we can talk about him. So just in a few words, okay, what his philosophy, okay, we can summarize as without any judgment. We can call first self-preservation, or in Chinese called weiwo, for myself. Okay, that's another way to talk about. Before we make a judgment, let's just understand what he's talking about. Second part is discovery of the body. That's the 2 part. Okay, so one way you can see it is let me see. He is antithetical idea from Mozi. We talked about Mozi last week. Okay, last week we talked about Mozi as last week we talked about Mozi as all-embracing love. Okay, you love anybody, you love your neighbors as yourself, you love all the elders like your parents. Okay, and Yang Zhu is just opposite, love yourself. Okay, so Mencius complain these 2 schools both are flawed and animal that ravage the dead. Okay, so in Mencius' point of view, these 2 philosophy are terrible. Okay, so that's the general understanding about him, and then we will go through this. One important thing that we talk about, just a review for last week for the people haven't read or didn't participate last week about Mozi. Okay, just quick summary. Mozi's philosophy. Most important is this part, all embracing love, universal love. Okay, basics, Mozi is kind of a group, organized group. Their philosophy also a political group. They try to bring peace to China. And what they have to do is they promote love, impartial love. Right? And then, of course, they have many things, and they are against Confucius because they think Confucius spent too much energy on music, on the funeral, on the expenditure, and the Confucius doesn't believe ghosts. Okay, so didn't believe ghosts and heaven. That's their criticize about Confucianism, but they has been very popular. So right now we are going to talk about the other side of philosophy, which we can consider as antithetical idea to Mozi's idea. So that we have on the about the Mozi, about Yang Zhu. So talk about the book. Okay, so the main source I will bring in, because if most of the people, they get the philosophy from Yang Zhu, the Yang Zhu's philosophy from Mencius' writing. And of course, Mencius' writing is, the purpose of Mencius' philosophy is to argue against Yang Zhu. So the information you get from Mencius, this book, of course, is biased. So we should not just focus on Mencius' writing to understand Yang Zhu. We should go to other sources. So one main sources I like to use is called Liezi. Liezi is an important Taoism text. Okay, and this book, some people said Liezi is the teacher of Zhuangzi, who is the Taoism philosophy. But today's scholar in general believe this book, Liezi, is not original. It was written around 200, I think 4th century, okay, by Zhang Zan. Okay, so it's probably 600 years after. Okay, but even it's not original, but we can consider it's very close for during the time. So, and probably this book still preserve what's Yang Zhu's philosophy. So this book is a Taoism text. It talks about a lot of immortal, a lot of mythology, and talk about some divination, this kind of book. But they have one chapter called Yang Zhu, okay? And this chapter is have a lot of interest story and a lot of debate. We can consider this text as Yang Zhu's philosophy. Another thing I talk about the book, okay, that's Chinese book, ancient Chinese, that's the source we use. And then in the Western world, okay, English world, published world, there's one book, okay, called, I think if you read Feng Youlan's writing, Feng Youlan talking about this book, Yang Zhu's Garden of Pleasure, okay, it published in 1912, okay, over 100 years ago. And this book is available online, so you can read it. It's not very long. And basically, this book is a translation from this chapter, Yang Zhu. Okay, basically, I read a few chapters, basically it's translation, and some just remove, they remove some part, they add some part, but basic is, I can fairly say 80% from this chapter, Yang Zhu's chapter of Liezi. So that's the book. And during this 100 years, look like, okay, I did some search. I didn't find any textbook or any English book talk about Yang Zhu. Until 2023, they have a book called The Many Life of Yang Zhu, a historical review. I didn't read this book, and then I checked from Amazon. This book is like over 300 pages. I'm very surprised, there's somebody willing to write 300 pages about Yang Zhu. So I haven't had a chance to read it. If anyone want to read it and or interested in this book, please let me know, and then let's discuss on this one, because I really want to know what's inside about Yang Zhu, and it's spent 300 pages about him, and it's about 100 years nobody talk about him. So let's start from the text. Just bring back from the beginning of Feng Youlan's writing, chapter 3. Okay, Feng Youlan talk about origin of schools, and that's a consensus in Chinese philosophy. China has 6 schools. Ru, which is a Confucius school. Xia, okay, that's Feng Youlan's idea, which we call it knight errant, okay, which is a Mozi school. And basically, Feng Youlan is focused on Mozi's ethical organization. And today we talk about Taoism. Okay, that's the so-called first phase of Taoism. And then we call it the recluse, okay, okay, which you can say a hermit or recluses, okay. So that's the school we are going to talk about, originate from this school. So following, I'm going to introduce the concept of recluse, okay, recluses, okay. So on Feng Youlan's writing, if you look at the PDF page, okay, I copy from his writing. The Daoist, however, were not ordinary recluses who escaped the world, desiring to maintain their personal purity. Okay. They are doing more than that. On the contrary, the Taoist recluses, men, have gone into seclusion, attempt to work out a system of thought that will give meaning to their action. Among them, Yang Zhu seems to have been the earliest prominent exponent. Okay, so that's Feng Youlan's argument. He put Yang Zhu as the first phase of Taoism philosophy. So according to his theory, Yang Zhu is the first phase. Then we have the Laozi, then we have the Zhuangzi as the third phase. So I think it's on chapter 13 and 14, Feng Youlan is going to talk about the second phase and the third phase. Okay. So that's the Taoist recluse. So then let's look at how does the concept of recluse, or hermit, in the Confucius Analect. Okay. So here I quote from Confucius Analect, book 14. Okay. So you will see, I think I showed this one in the week we talk about Confucius, the first teacher. The text is 子路 happened to pass the night in Shimen, or you want to translate of stone gate. The gatekeeper, some scholars believe this gatekeeper is a recluse, said to him, to 子路. 子路 is Confucius' disciple. Who do you come from? 子路 said, from Mr. Kong. The gatekeeper asked, is he the one who knows he cannot succeed, yet keep on trying to do so? So this one we to understand is, we talk about that's Confucius' attitude to the life is he keep on trying to do so, even he knows he cannot succeed. So that's very important concept. So to understand and why Confucius is against recluse is just opposite, right? These recluse, they just refuse to participate, refuse to put effort. So that's the way we know the concept of recluse. Oh, sorry, the misspelling. Confucian and the recluse. That's another chapter. Oh, actually, this one is the chapter after that. So some people will consider this one is a continuous. Let me read. 子路 following the master happened to fall behind when he met an old man carrying close his shoulder on a staff of basket for weeds. 子路 said to him, have you seen my master, sir? The old man replied, you are kind of people who hardly use their mind, their limbs, cannot recognize different grains. Who is your master? So this old man we can consider as a recluse, a hermit, right? He refused to participate the civil war or political war. So he talked about you guys. He talked about Confucius, and his disciple. You hardly use your limbs. You never farm. You never toil. You never work. And then you cannot tell the different kind of grain. You don't know what's rice, what's wheat look like, what's corn. You cannot tell. And but this old man still respect Confucius. So the old man let 子路 stay in his house, prepare dinner, and introduce his two sons to 子路. The second day, 子路 saw Confucius and report to him. He told Confucius, sir, I saw this guy. So Confucius said, he's a recluse. And sent 子路 back to see him again. But when he got to the place, the old man was gone. So they have the mutual respect to each other, even they disagree on the attitude to this world. Okay. Zilu said, okay, so here, Zilu, even it's said by Zilu, we can consider that's Confucius' teaching, and that's Confucius' opinion about this kind of people. Remember, the recluse talk about Confucius as kind of people who hardly use their limbs, cannot recognize different grains. So that means you don't know how to live. Okay, let's put it this way. Okay, have no survival skill, only talk about scholastic things. So Zilu, that's Zilu's comment, or we can read as Confucius' comment about the recluse. Not to take office is not righteous or not dutiful. Okay, as a learned person, your duty is work for the government. So not take office position is not righteous. Since the family relation cannot be neglected, can he set aside duty of minister? So he even ignore, usually during that time, Chinese live in a big family. So if you are a recluse, you kind of reject, okay, you stay away from your family. So that's also not right, according to Confucius' teaching. He desires to maintain his personal purity, but neglect the spring relationship. The spring relationship, according to Confucius' teaching, is the job, your duty to the society, your duty to your family. So this person, the recluse, he desires to maintain his personal purity and neglect the spring relationship. Okay, it is the duty of Junzi. To Junzi, we can consider as a moral exemplar, okay, a moral man, okay, to take a government office, even he knows the great Tao has not been respected for a long time. So-called the great Tao, okay, we can say the world is not peaceful. Great Tao is not prevail in ancient Chinese meaning is it's almost impossible to be successful. But according to Confucius, okay, recluse was wrong. You should not do that. Okay, that's the way. So right now we heard about the Confucius criticize of this kind of concept of recluse. And before we go to his philosophy, I will stop for a minute if you have question, comment about this part. No? Eddie, please.
So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the difference here. So
Okay.
basically, Confucius and his disciples believe that you should serve the government more,
Yes,
and
that's
and the people, and in that way you serve the people by serving the government, whereas the recluse kind of separate themselves from the government and yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I understand
exactly,
the
yeah.
difference
That's
completely.
exactly right. Okay, but that's about when we say you. Okay, we talk about a learned person. Okay, we are not talking about a farmer or a regular worker. We talk about if you have knowledge, and most of the time we can assume during that time, 2,500 years ago, when you talk about a learned person, that means aristocracy. Okay, you are not just commoner. Okay, so if you have this aristocratic blood and you learn, right? You have duty to work for the government. Okay, and then you should not just abandon your duty and just live along. They abandon their duty, okay, not because they are lazy, because they see the world is terrible, okay, because there's a lot of war, just like you said, if I believe taking a government job is to serve the people, but I find out my boss, my manager is not serving the people. should I continue to do it even it's not the right way to do it? That's a big question, right? Confucius would say, yes, still do it, even you don't have, you know, it cannot be successful, but I have this idea, I still have to do it. And recluse will say, no, okay, I'm going to leave this world. I'm going to take care of myself, okay? And just like Feng Youlan said, Taoism is different than just regular recluse. They develop the philosophy to systemize or rationalize their behavior. So that's the difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up this one. Any other question, comment? So recluse is not only in China, right? And then I find the Henry Thoreau, right? That's another American recluse. Okay, so the book Warden. Okay, so he talked about it. And I also noticed one interesting part, right? So for the, well, that's use Thoreau as an example, right? He write about like civil disobedience, right? Resistance to civil government, something like this. So, but Chinese recruits seems not interested in the government, not interested in the society. And so that's kind of like a little bit different. Of course, that's a much bigger question. We should, that's a much bigger question behind it. So we are not going to discuss today, but I just want to throw out, you know, that's one of the phenomenon, okay, I observed. Mark, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to put this question. So since I think it's fundamental to discussion of Taoism, and since we're at the beginning of this,
Yeah.
I'll put it here, and then you can set it aside and deal with it when you think it's appropriate. So I'm wondering about one, the classification of Yang Zhu as a Taoist, but even more fundamental than that is the whole idea of Taoism in itself. My impression is that the category of Taoism was essentially created by Sima Qian, categorizing the Tao Te Ching and the Zhuangzi as the same school, and that it kind of grew out of that categorization. And I'm wondering about the whole idea of Taoism as a category, especially since now Yang Zhu is put into that category by Feng Youlan, but also even from the very beginning, like I see certainly similarities between the Zhuangzi and the Tao Te Ching, but I also see huge differences. So I'm wondering about the whole classification of Taoism overall and how that classification developed and how it's determined. So that's my question. And then I'm curious about what you think about that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Okay, that's a very important question. Okay, and we might not have enough time to talk about this, but we have a lot of opportunity to understand this question because through the history, through this whole book, the Taoism will keep showing up. So we can always revisit this question. To answer your second question first, about Taoism as a classification, I think you are very right, and I totally agree with you. You should not read Zhuangzi and Tao Te Ching as the same philosophy. Okay, they are different. Okay, very, very different. I just see one line. I know this one is from Laozi, and this one is not from Zhuangzi. Okay, I know Laozi will not say that. Zhuangzi will not say the other way. So I know exactly they are very different. But this school, Taoist school, has been invented by Sima Tan, who is Sima Qian's father, the first, let's say, first great historian. Okay, he invented the 6 schools. Okay, so if you want to say, can I categorize it in a different way? Yes, of course, but unfortunately, it's been too late. 2,000 years late, 2,200 years late. Okay, because too late to change it. Okay, sorry about this. To first question, is Yang Zhu belong to the Taoism? Okay, that's another big question. Okay, and then I kind of agree. Okay, in this sense, by assuming Laozi and Zhuangzi belong to the same school, and Yang Zhu belong to them, because I'm going to show some evidence, which is from Feng Yonglan. Yang Zhu's philosophy show up in Dao De Jing and also in Zhuangzi's text. So that's the answer to you. And of course, we will see later. Thank you for this difficult question. And that's for other people, please keep this question in mind. And for the later session, you can contemplate this kind of situation. So this one is our main part. Okay, so forget about the criticism. Let's talk about his philosophy. And then what we have, the text. I kind of collect most of the text about Yang Zhu's philosophy. So most famous is this one from Mencius. We will read it next week. Okay, Mencius' book. Okay, Mencius said the principle of Yang Zhu is each one for himself. Though he might have profited the whole world by plucking out a single hair, he would not have done it. Okay, so that's most of the people read it. If you read Mencius, you will know so-called 拔一毛而利天下不为也. That means even pluck one hair to save the world, I'm not going to do it. Okay, so that's Mencius' argument against the Yang Zhu. But if you take a more objective view, that's very likely is a strawman argument. Okay, I think you just pick up one of his saying and then start to attack on that. So I don't think we should take serious on this argument to understand Yang Zhu's philosophy. From Lüshi Chunqiu, that's on the third 2300, they say Yang Zhu values self. Okay, that's another text talking about. And the more detail, it's Han Feizi, that's another legalism. Okay, scholar. He's talking about the text. Okay, that's called 显学. That means popular school. He introduced Yang Zhu's philosophy. He talked about even the great prophet of the whole world, he will not exchange one of his one hair of his shank. He is one who despises the thing and value life. So this one you can understand, you can see how Mencius twist, okay, Yang Zhu's philosophy. Here, Han Fei is talking about Yang Zhu is not going to take the profit from the world. Okay, even he sacrificed one hair. So that's a total different than Mencius talking about. So it's bi-directional. He's not totally selfish. He also doesn't want to gain profit from outside world. He wants focus on himself. That's Han Feizi. We will talk about this person in a few chapters later. Okay, so another one is Huainanzi on the 2nd century BC, talking about his philosophy is preserving life and maintaining what is genuine in it, not allowing things to entangle one's person. This is what Yang Zhu established. Okay, don't let outside things bother me. Okay, so we will talk about this in the next slide. Before that, that's Fred. You have some comment?
I was surprised when I saw that in the text, that principle of Yang Zhu is each one for himself. Because I have a slight quibble with the preposition for himself, because the connotation in modern English, I guess, is when you say each one for himself, the context is a materialistic, no-sum competitive struggle for existence. And when you say each one for himself, it's a grasping, materialistic, selfish view. It says, I want mine and I'll take it from whoever tries to grab it. So it seems like it's a minor point, but it seems like a closer translation to the spirit of Yang Zhu is each one by himself, that you kind of separate yourself from the kind of winner take all competitive struggle for material goods, and you set yourself apart, particularly from politics and economics.
Thank you very much. I need to consider the translation because the text Chinese have is only two characters, right? 为我, okay, 我 means self. 为 means for yourself, by yourself, okay, to yourself. I don't know. Okay, that's very vague. Okay, so I think your suggestion is very good, and everyone for himself could have a different meaning in English. So I thank you for that one. So later on we will bring up, and welcome to any kind of suggestion. And I know the translation from ancient Chinese to English is very difficult, and then I just can try my best. I think everyone try their best to bring as close as possible, but technically it's impossible. Madam, please.
Yes, thanks, Fred. I had been thinking something along the same lines. There's a saying in English, if everyone swept in front of their own doorway, the entire block would be clean. And I think that this is something of this philosophy here.
Yeah, thank you, Madison. Yeah, that's a good example, And then another side I kind of spoiled later is even you don't clean your street, right? Or not really make your a corner clean, at least you don't damage other people. Okay. So that's another way in Yang Zhu's philosophy. So we talk about this one. I think I will show this the name and the reality. Okay, so that's, I think, name and the reality is kind of fundamental in ancient Chinese philosophy. Any school will deal with that. Next week, Mencius will deal with that. And the week after, we talk about school of names, the debaters, every single line they'll deal with is the name and the reality. Even Confucius, the most important philosophy he's talking about in politics is rectification of name. You have uphold your name. If you are father, you should be a father. If you are son, you should be a son. That's very important. So Yang Zhu, and this one I put in the, this one is on his, in Liezi's writing. Basics is the conversation between Mengzi Yang, who is Yang Zhu's disciple, and ask a question, right? I just want to just briefly, okay, a man can never be more than a man. Why do people still trouble themselves about fame? Okay, fame and the name is the same word in Chinese. So why people looking for name? He say for become rich. Okay, then he say why they don't stop. Okay, for the position, the honor position, and then going about to all the way to talking about his posterity, to his offsprings, right? So finally, I want to draw Yang Zhu's conclusion is the reality exists without name. The name exists without reality. The name is unreal. So this name and the reality argument in Yang Zhu's point of view is the name is nothing. Only thing you need to focus is the reality. You say Confucius is a teacher. Only thing you need to do is focus on Confucius, not the name as a teacher. You can call him a philosopher, call him a teacher, a great politician, a great debater, great teacher. It doesn't matter. Confucius is Confucius. The reality is important. So that's the first thing Yang Zhu want to deal. And then that's answer marks the question, how does it relate to Taoism, right? Taoism has very strong idea about rejecting the name. Okay, the first line talk about the Dao could be doubted or could be talked about it's not real Dao, and the name can be named, it's not real name. So basics Taoism in the Laozi point of view, the first thing is rejecting the name. Okay, the social name. Okay, so I think that's very important in Taoism philosophy. That's first thing I'd like to bring in, right? Okay, second, let me talk about this text about this in Huang Youlan's writing. Okay, that's let me see what's the point here. Okay, Qinzi, okay, is asking, this one is talking about Mencius quote Yang Zhu about plugging out a single hair of your body, you could save the entire world. Would you do it? Okay, so that Qinzi is kind of, let's say, let's assume he's a Confucian scholar or whoever. Ask Yang Zhu, okay, if by plucking out a single hair of your body, you could save the whole world, would you do it? Yang Zhu answered, the whole world is surely not to be saved by a single hair. You know, your question is, does make sense? Okay, and Qinzi asked, but supposing it possible, would you do it? Yang Zhu refused to answer. Okay, he left away. So Qinzi started to ask Yang, who is Yang Zhu's disciple, and the answer. Okay, his answer is interesting. Okay, you do not understand the mind of my master. Okay, I will explain it for you. Supposing by tearing off a piece of your skin, you were to get 10,000 pieces of gold. Would you do it? Yes, I will do it, right? Just a piece of my skin to get 1,000 piece of gold. I will do it, right? And Yang keep asking, right? Supposing by cutting off one of your limbs, you were to get the whole kingdom. Would you do it? You probably can ask yourself, right? Become a millionaire or billionaire, okay, by losing one of your hand, right? Would you do it? And then Qinzi be silent. Okay. So here's the point. Okay, Yang said, a hair is unimportant compared with the skin. A piece of skin is unimportant compared with a limb. By many hairs put together are as important as a piece of skin. Many pieces of skin put together are as important as a limb. A single hair is one of 10,000 parts of the body. How can you disregard it? So here, he didn't give you an answer, but the question we should ask ourselves is, a hair is part of your body. A piece of skin, also a piece of your body. A limb, also your body. So where's the limit? Where's the boundary? Okay, how much you want to sacrifice? So here, just bring to the second part of Yang Zhu's philosophy. Self, okay, you should be aware of yourself before you think about outside, right? What's your body? Okay, a hair, piece of skin, the bone, or that's the question. He didn't give you a clear answer, but that's the question he's asking. So quickly summarize his philosophy. We can fairly say two things, right? First, each one for himself. Okay, Fred suggests probably should change each one by himself. Okay, so we will see later if we go more detail, and how to translate sometimes depend on how you view Confucian, Yang Zhu's philosophy is good or evil sometimes, you know, and despising of sin and the value of life. That's the two part Yang Zhu's philosophy is talking about. So I think next one I'm going to bring, this one is not in Huang Youlan's text, but I do see this text. It's very long, okay, and it's a story, and I find out it's interesting, and it probably can well represent what Yang Zhu is talking about. Okay. Before I go to this story, okay, so I will stop for question and the comment if you have, before I go to this story. Madeline, please.
Yes, thanks. Well, let's see. So that dialogue you had with him with Jinsu, yeah, that one.
Okay.
Well, I
No, I'm sorry, not Junzi, Qinzi. Qinzi is a person. Okay, so
yes,
okay, go ahead.
Jinsu.
Yeah.
I appreciated Yang Zhu's sense of humor. Like the whole world is surely not to be saved by a single hair. It's that sort of hair splitting, so to speak, philosophical argument about things that I think he might be objecting to in that line. And then the very end part, a single hair is one of the 10,000 parts of the body. In other words, the body is a cumulative, it's a whole. And it reminds me of one of the passages we read recently in the Tao Te Ching about the importance of keeping track of very small things.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they're part of something much larger.
Yeah, thank you, Madeline. I'm sorry, Madeline. Okay, so Mark, please.
Yeah, Jason, thanks for reviewing this. I've actually read this a couple times, and I just actually changed my opinion about Yang Zhu a little bit. Like when you were talking earlier, and you classified him as an ethical egoist. I didn't like that classification because I really like Yang Zhu, and I was thinking, okay, a better classification would be a dialectical egoist.
Okay.
Because an ethical ego, but now that I've heard this argument again, which I've read before, I agree with the ethical egoist classification because he's taking, at least in this argument, my opinion is he's being evasive because he's taking this point of self-preservation, he's elevating it to a principle where, you know, as his interlocutor presents in his hypothetical hair versus the world, it's a little absurd. Now, Yang Zhu's response also points out that the example is hypothetical to the point of being absurd too. But there's a middle ground between. And if you can't find a middle ground, I think you are being principled or ethical in a certain sense. So personally, although I like Yang Zhu, especially in contrast to like Confucianism or other Chinese philosophers, to me that takes it a little too far to make this self-preservation this all-encompassing principle. Because like you don't exist independently of the world. Like, okay, what if you don't pluck your hair and then the world disappears? Well, if the world disappears, you disappear. Because what are you going to drink? What are you going to eat? Who are you going to talk to? Right? So you're not like this separate thing from the world. There's an interaction. That's why I raised the concept of dialectical egoism as a contrast. So this was really interesting, and I appreciate you going over that argument again. It was very enlightening.
Thank you. Okay, quick question, Mark. Did you read this one? 资产.
You from the Liezi, this argument?
Yeah, from Liezi.
Yeah, I have read it a couple times, but I haven't read it.
The two brothers, one love to drink.
Yeah, the drunken one and the promiscuous one. Yeah, I've read that.
Yeah. Okay, so we will talk about this. Okay, so before I talk about this one, then talk about Eddie. You have a question, please?
I guess it's really more of a comment. I guess what struck me about that conversation, at first I thought it was a little ridiculous, but then at the end I was like, corruption. I see what he's talking about here. So it kind of hit me as a play on, you know, well, what are you willing to give up? And what are you willing to sacrifice? And what's going to be the consequence of that? For you doing that. I mean, not just a consequence for yourself, but it could be a consequence for the world, but mostly for yourself. I mean, how far are you willing to go? And what and maybe it might just start with a little thing, but then you get coerced into even further and further corruption. So it just spoke to me of corruption. And then the fact that they are, you know, they're the recluse lifestyle, and they don't want interference from government and things like that. And considering what happened to Confucius when he was in government positions, because he ended up wandering from province to province, right? When he lost his position.
Yeah.
So it just all kind of resonated with me, with the idea of, look what happened to Confucius, and how, are you willing to corrupt yourself for whatever? It might start out as a good sacrifice, but then it might turn into something else altogether. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so if you see this story is a little bit ridiculous, then let's go to another ridiculous story. If you want to.
I didn't think it was ridiculous. It was just the
Yeah,
just the
just
first
joking.
part when about you save the world by plucking a hair. It was like, what?
Yeah,
what
just
is this?
joking. Yeah.
This is kind of,
Yeah, but when we read all the ancient story, they always have their ridiculous part. In Chinese, in Plato's, if you read Plato's dialogue, they also have a lot of stupid or ridiculous argument. But anyway, let's go through this story. This story is very long, and I'm glad Mark read it. Okay, so I'm not going to translate the word by word, but I just put the important part on that. So first, we talk about a person called Zhi Can. Zhi Can was born. He was prime minister of the state of Zheng. Okay, that's a tiny state next to Lu, which is Confucius' state. So Confucius, in his analect, he mentioned about Zhi Can a few times, because you can see Zhi Can as a Confucian's model politician. He was a prime minister, and he governed the state of Zheng for 3 years, and the state became well. And how does he govern? He used rituals, okay, and duties, rituals and duty, okay. So that's very important. So he's a great guy according to Confucius, and during that time, because state is well governed. But Zhi Can has an elder brother. His name is Gongsun Cao, and a younger brother is Gongsun Mu. Gongsun Cao, the older brother, fond of feasting. Basically, he liked to drink. And the later one, the younger one, Gongsun Mu, fond of sex. Okay, so then they have the description how crazy they are. Okay, I'm going to skip this part. And when you read the text, you can enjoy yourself. Okay, within the house of Gongsun Mu, okay, who is his elder brother, there were compound about okay, in the house of Gongsun Cao, who like to drink, right, have a 1,000 barrel of wine was stored, and the yeast pile up. Within 100 paces from the door, you can smell the liquid. Okay, so how much he drink. The house of Gongsun Mu, who like have sex. Okay, there are a compound of about 30 or 40 houses, which he fill up with damsels of exquisite beauty. He collect all the beautiful girls. Okay, and I'm sorry for that's the male society. Okay, so that use woman as an example. So Zhi Can is really bothered by this case, right? Zhi Can pondering over this. Okay, stealthily betook himself to Deng Xi. Deng Xi is, let's see, his friend, okay, or consultant, okay, and ask, I have heard, okay, the care of one's own person has its influence on the family, and the care taken of a family influence the state. Okay, so this is to say, starting from the nearest one reaches to what is distant. Okay, that's very Confucian teaching, right? You take care of your family, then you take care of your state. Okay, then you can save the world. Okay, and if you cannot take care of your family, how can you take care of your state? And how can you take care of the world? So that's Confucian logic. So right now he being 资产, being a very good politician, prime minister, doing well, but his family, older brother and younger brother, one is drinking all day long, another one just enjoys sex. Okay, something wrong here. So Deng Xi replied, okay, I have wondered this one, but I did not dare to tell you. Why do you not always, why don't you control them, right? Go to teach them, give them some reward, okay, to encourage them to change, teach them, okay, that's Deng Xi's suggestion. So 资产 did as Deng Xi advised and taking the opportunity to see his brothers and said to them, he gathered his younger brothers and older brothers and told them, okay, that in which man is superior to beasts and the birds are his mental faculties. Okay, in Confucius thinking, okay, why you want to be moral? That's a big question we will discuss next week, right? According to Confucius school, okay, the reason you want to, well, when we look at human and animal, they are the same, okay, but the difference is if you are not moral, okay, and according here is mental faculty, then you will be no different than the beast, okay. Through that, the mental you get, and this kind of mental faculty is to get righteousness and riches. And so the glory and official, okay, you are only moved, he complained to his brother, you guys are only moved by what excites your sense. You only enjoy the sensual pleasure and indulge only in licentious desire, endangering your life and your nature, okay? According to Confucius, your nature is a human, so you enjoy your licentious desire, okay, and the sensual pleasure. Okay? It's endangering your life and the nature. Hear my word, repent in the morning, and in the evening you will have already gained the wage that will support you. Okay, so 资产 is going to offer his brother the job, okay, and the wages. Okay, so ask them to repent and quit their wandering behavior. So here's the response, right? The Zhao and the Mu, his brother, talk to him, okay? He talked about long ago, we knew it and made our choice, nor did we wait for your instruction to enlighten us. It is very difficult to preserve life and easy to come by one's death. It's important here. It is difficult to preserve life and easy to come by one's death. We are sure everyone will die one day, but so we alive is by chance, okay? And then dying is a necessity. Yet who will think of awaiting death, which comes to so easily? The death comes easily on account of difficulty of preserving life. Preserving life is difficult. Death is easy. That's their understanding of the world. You value riches and the righteous, that means Confucius moral, in order to excel before others. He talked about you just practice moral to excel, okay, before others, and you do violate your feeling and the nature in striving for glory, okay, glory. So basics in their point of view, 资产, okay, working for the government, it's violate your feeling and the nature because you have to work, okay? That's to appear worse than death. So your situation is worse than death. We have no time to trouble about bad reputation and the mental danger, okay? Therefore, for you to argue with us, disturb our mind merely because you surpass others in ability to govern and try and allure us with promise of a glory appointment in the So he said it's a shameful and deplorable. Okay, so let's go back. So see now, if that's the lesson he want to tell Zhican. If everyone knows how to regulate eternal things, the thing do not of necessity become regulated, and his body has still to toil and labor. Okay, so here they bring the concept of they bring the concept of so-called 治外 and 治内, regulate external thing and regulate internals. Okay, so he talked about the brothers told Zhican, okay, everybody knows this. Okay, you regulate eternal things, take care of outside things. It's not necessarily successful, right? You work for the government, try to finish one job. The job not necessarily be done, but you are necessarily toil your body. Your body suffer because you go to work, okay? And the work not necessarily done, okay? If everybody knows how to regulate internals, take care of yourself, the things go on all right, and the mind obtain peace and the rest. So take care of yourself, right? You are sure you will be successful. Okay, you take care of others, you are not sure. Okay, it's not guaranteed, but guarantee you will be suffer. That's their logic. So he talk about even here your system of so right now he's talking about his Zhican's work. Your system of regulating external things will do temporary and for a single kingdom. He said he's successful in governing the state of Zheng, just temporary, okay, and only for this kingdom. But it's not harmony with the human heart, okay? And while our method, the method of his brothers, licentious brothers, okay, of regulating internals can be extended to the whole world. The idea is everybody just like me, right? There's no need for prince and the ministers because everybody taking care of yourself. So you don't need a minister or prince. You don't need the law. Okay, so we just do ourselves. Okay, then Zhican has no answer. He got confused. He go back to his advisor. His advisor say, "Wow, you are living together with true men without knowing it." Okay, true man is a Taoism way of talking about a Junzi, or you're talking about spring man. Okay, role model. Okay, your brother are excellent. You didn't know it, so I don't think you are wise, right? The state has been governed by chance, not by the merit of youth. So that's the story on that. I know logically there's a way to refute their behavior. I'm not saying we should learn from their brother, but I hope this story will tell you something about Yang Zhu's thinking and how does it related to Taoism. Sometimes they argue, you try to go to the other extreme and to let you think, okay, is that right? I think that's the thing. So I will stop for minutes to, if you have any comment, suggestion, or you think this story is funny, makes sense, or nonsense. Fred, please.
Yeah, the story definitely reflects back on the earlier question of whether if you pluck one hair out of your head, whether you can save the world. And I think the reason you didn't answer is because the crux of that question is, can you make internal sacrifices by internal regulation that result in improvements in external regulation? And so it's kind of absurd on the face of it. so you just can't provide an answer. I think there's just mentioned in passing that in the longer history on page 228, there's a paragraph that I think points to the social obligations according to Yang Zhu, which is stark contrast with Confucianism. Is it okay if I read this? It's just a short.
You talk about Huainanzi writing?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
It says, political and social institutions of all kinds, as viewed by Yang Zhu, serve only to impose suffering on man. This is because the natures of different things are not identical, and each individual thing has its own special likings. Hence, they neither need be nor should they be forcibly made identical. Since things are thus different, it is right that they should remain different. In this way, uniformity is made out of difference. All political and social institutions, however, decide upon a single good as a standard of conduct and make all men follow this standard. This is to constrain difference to a forced uniformity, in which case what is intended to help people results only in harming them. This seems a stark contrast to Confucianism. I thought it was interesting, and it's really kind of a Lockean classical liberalism, or what we call now libertarianism, when it says that such things, uniformity is made out of difference. Well, that's e pluribus unum. So it's interesting that that's both a big difference with Confucianism and anticipates John Locke and sort of classical liberalism of the Enlightenment.
Mhm.
That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. Anyone have any comment? Madeline, please.
Well, I have a question about the dialogue, the little story that you just translated.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I am missing something here or what's happened with my mind with it. So here we have a ruler. He has two brothers who are libertines.
Not ruler, a prime minister.
Prime minister. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. He has two brothers who are libertines, one with wine, one with women.
Yeah.
A wise man says to him, you could go to the next page.
The wise man is here. Okay.
Okay, so but he comes in earlier, doesn't he? If you go back up to the previous page, that one.
Yeah.
No, the page before that, sorry. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes to the wise man.
Yeah, the wise man, Deng Xi is his friend. That's called his friend.
Yes. Okay, so he goes to his friend. He consults him, who says, exhort them about the proper way of life.
Yes.
He does that.
Yes.
His two brothers respond. He goes back to his friend, tells him the response, and the friend says, "Oh yeah, I guess they're right."
Yeah. Okay. So I got your point. Yeah. When I do translation, I do think about take out Deng Xi part, this part. I think this part probably confuse a lot of people. Okay. I think about take out this part because his attitude changed, right? At the beginning, he asked him to teach them, but later on you say, "Oh, how stupid you are! You call yourself wise?" Okay. So I think if you take out this part, Deng Xi, okay, the message will be clear. Yeah.
But it also seems it does seem to be kind of a Taoist message in a way.
It's very Taoism. Let's put it this way. It's a Taoism message. Yes.
Yeah, and I like that about it. I mean, he just sort of flips over to the other side and says, "Yeah, you know what? That way is good too."
Yeah. So that's why I'm thinking. Before I'm thinking take it out or make the argument clear. But in a way, I think number one, I think I should respect the text, because I should try my best to explain, not to change the text. That's my reason. Mark, please.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah, I really like Madeline's comments, and I love this text. I think it's so audacious to have a philosophical text where a drunkard and a womanizer are like defending themselves and with a certain kind of power. And what I thought was interesting about the switch, I don't remember his name, of the guy who advised him to go talk to his brothers, is that one thing that was interesting about his brothers, I'm not sure which one it was, said, "We know this. We made our choice. This is our reasoning." It's not like they're just like not thinking about their lives, not thinking about their prestige or their family. This is like a considered life choice. And I think that's different than somebody who's just stumbling from one thing to another, but hasn't considered what are the costs and benefits of a certain kind of lifestyle. And to me, that's important in the story. And I think that's maybe, I'm not sure, I should read it again to be sure, but I think that might be part of the reason why the guy who advised him to talk to him was so impressed, because this just wasn't your ordinary drunkard or your ordinary womanizer. These were guys who had thought about life and decided, okay, well, this is worth it to me. I'm going to die. And what am I going to get out of it? Am I going to be happier struggling for fame and reputation or prestige, or am I going to be happier doing this? What are the costs and what are the benefits? So that's the way I see it. And I just think this text is phenomenal. I've never read in philosophical discourses, I've never read anything else like it anywhere. So anyways, that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, to mention. I just highlight here. I think this text, this line is important, just like Mark said. Rationality, rational thinking is very good. Okay, so if you don't rational thinking, even you practice Confucian philosophy, still not good, because the rational thinking is very important. So here is talk about long ago we knew it. Okay, and we made our choice. Okay, nor had we wait for you. They are not waiting. And more important, he said, I think I didn't. He even talked about they just want to teach 职产 to join us, enjoy the life, quit your job, okay? And then you dare to come to us to tell us to change our behavior because we want to save you. But right now you come here say you want to save me. I think that's the tone, his two brothers try to teach him. So that's about the story, and we covered the major part of the, I would say that's the part of Yang Zhu's philosophy. So the rest, I will, of course, I will observe the time. We have 30 minutes left, and I don't want to be rushed. So next part I want to bring is, I think you read the text, in Huainanzi's text, he quote a lot. Text from Daoist and from Zhuangzi to prove, I think his purpose is to make his argument, right, about the Yang Zhu, just back to Mark's question at beginning, right? Yang Zhu is, Yang Zhu or Yangism is in Taoism, okay, in both Daoist and in Zhuangzi. And that's what Huainanzi want to argue. So first, let's go. I think you can find in the text when he quote. But what I do is I present the entire text, so you will not just get the one line. So you got the entire text. And if you want, you can check, okay, on chapter 13, okay, in Daoist, okay, talking about fan and shame, okay, 融入, okay. Some people join my group on the Tuesday evening, I probably read this one, okay. So importantly, treat fan and shame with fear, care for great misfortune as care for your body, right? So people like fame, okay, but avoid shame, okay? But this teaching is you should feel both shame and fame, okay? 宠辱若惊, okay, that's an important lesson. You don't then Laozi, the author, go to the question, right? What the meaning of treating fame and shame with fear? Fame is worthless, and we will be fearful when we gain or lose them. And this is called. Then ask the next question: what is the meaning of care for great misfortune as care for your body? Right? The biggest misfortune is something to your body, not outside. Our great misfortune come from our body. So that's the argument in 道德经. Okay, so that's one thing Feng Youlan provide to show Yang Zhu's thinking about name, okay, and body. Which one is more important? He asks. Okay, so of course the body is more important. So next one is from chapter 44. Okay, this one is interesting because the author Laozi keep asking three questions at the beginning, right? Reputation of life. Which one is which do you hold more dear? Reputation and life. Okay. Then life or wealth. Which do you want more? Okay. Gaining or losing. Which do you worry about? Okay. So that's the three big question, right? In our life, right? The third one, okay, reputation or life. Okay. I think most people will choose life, right? Life of wealth. Which do you want more? I believe most people will choose life than wealth. Okay. And gaining or lose, which one you worry about? So that's a big question, right? Gaining what? You gaining wealth or losing your life? Okay. Which one you worry more? Okay. Seems the author doesn't give you answer. Therefore, extreme cherishing leads to great spending. Okay, so if you here the Chinese call 甚爱必大费. Okay, 爱, remember some translate as love. Okay, so you cherishing, caring, you will cause great spending. Okay, exercise holding leads to lose. So another one is talking about if you are holding the wealth, right? Then turn out you are going to heavy lose. Cherishing, extreme cherishing, you can also explain as cherishing your name, right? Okay, your reputation. You will have a great cause. So here, the lesson is you knowing contentment, okay, can avoid disgrace. Knowing when to stop, one can avoid danger. So purpose is one can endure long, basically talking about you can live long, okay, avoid the fame, wealth, this one, focus on your life. So that's the 道德经. We will talk about 道德经 later in the future meetup, but here we will focus on what Yang Zhu or the thinking or Yangism in the 道德经. Mark, please.
Yeah, Jason, I'm super impressed by that argument. I had never thought about Yang Zhu with relation to chapter 13 like that. I find that quite persuasive. And it brings up to me a broader question. I wonder if you have some commentary on one thing. When I was in China, one thing I noticed a lot was there was this slogan. I don't remember what character or characters it was. It was long life. And I actually bought a T-shirt in China that had like 100 characters that all said long life.
So that's a long life. 100 characters. That's a hundred. Okay, long life. Okay, so that's a well. Yeah. If you go to Google to search 100 longevity in Chinese, okay, you probably will get a picture on that.
So is that related to religious Taoism, Daojiao, or I'm wondering about this whole emphasis on like health, like you see all the old people out in the parks, like doing the Tai Chi and stuff, and all the emphasis on healthy food and stuff. I'm wondering what the relationship of that is to Yang Zhu and
Okay, so
this trend of health.
okay, so Mark, okay, I put you on hold on this one because that's a much a big question, but the answer is yes. Okay, according to Feng Youlan's theory, right? So two things, right? Ignore the outside thing, take care of yourself, right? But another for yourself, or like Fred talk about by yourself, right? And the second thing is taking care of yourself. So that will bring to Tai Chi or something your meditation. So next slide I'm going to talk about is Zhuangzi. Zhuangzi will have more evidence about Yang Zhu's philosophy if you see taking care of your body. Remember, your body, not your mind. Okay, taking care of your body is also part of philosophy in Taoism philosophy. Okay, thank you. It's Zoom Trey. Yeah, question, comment?
Yeah, I have a question. How about if the interests are competing with each other, let's just say, in the case of your example earlier, the womanizer or the other brother who loves to eat food, if they are if it causes the suffering of the other people, either by limited supply of food or women not willing to cooperate, what will happen in that case?
Okay, so thank you for the question. And then this question is a big question, and I hope I can answer. Or probably you have to find the answer by yourself, right? Right now, I'm presenting one side of argument against. Let's talk about Mohism argument. A brief answer is I think I will talk about the Taoism when they later developed, right? So you can universalize this situation, right? And woman is a bad example for this text, right? Because at that time, Chinese society and around the world, they don't see women as equal to men. So sorry about this situation. But basics talk about you should universalize your individual to others. Okay, so that means at the beginning you are individualism, but if you universalize this thinking, everybody do this one. If you can think about it this way, that's why it comes with, I think Mark also mentioned about this, is ethical egoism, right? Ethical egoism is not totally selfish. I just do everything, whatever I want, but basics, if everybody, okay, I want everybody just like what I am doing. So that become ethical. So that's the ethical theory on that. So, and today in the modern American, we also have a philosopher talking about this. Right? So I hope that's the answer. And then, of course, that doesn't mean I support this philosophy or this philosophy. I just have to present, what we have, here. Any comment? Otherwise, I will go to Zhuangzi. Okay, so this one is famous, chapter 3, Yang Zhu, cultivation of your life, right? So that's the beginning. If you kind of familiar with Zhuangzi, you will know this chapter is the one talking about the cooking or the butcher who cut the cow, the ox, right? So that's the opening it talks about. There is a limit of our life, but to knowledge, there is no limit. It is dangerous to pursue after what is unlimited with what is limited. So that's the opening, right? So pursuing knowledge, and then you forget about the knowledge is unlimited, but your life is limited. So it's dangerous to do this one. When you do something good, beware of reputation. When you do something evil, beware of punishment. I think this one sometimes have very difficult translate OK，为善无尽民，为恶无尽行。OK， I'm not sure what would be the better way to translate, but basics is talking about between reputation and the punishment. So if you do something, the thing should avoid the punishment, also avoid gaining reputation. That's in Zhuangzi's text. Follow the middle way and take this as your constant principle. Then you can preserve your health, secure your life, take care of your parent, and live for a long life. So again, if you believe Yang Zhu or Yangism is talking about taking of your body, Zhuangzi's chapter 3 basics is talking about taking of yourself. Don't pursue the unlimited knowledge because you are damaging yourself. Okay, so that's the Zhuangzi, and I think I will skip this one because I talked about this one in the I think in the Zhuangzi last year. Let's talk about just a quick review. Okay, the Zhuangzi is see a big tree. Okay, and why this tree can live for a long time because it's useless. And when he visited a friend and his friend killed a goose for him, he killed the goose which were not a cackle, okay, because it's useless, got killed. So the question is, should you be the useful people or be useless people? Of course, Zhuangzi's answer is sometimes be useful, sometimes be useless. So I think I will skip this part and then let me go to, okay, so that's the Huainanzi talking about three phases of Taoism. So that's a Huainanzi theory. Okay, the first phase, okay, he's putting on is Yang Zhu as the first phase, Laozi as the second phase, and the Zhuangzi will be the third phase. So in chapter 9, right now we are on chapter 6, right? And chapter 9, we are talking about Laozi. We will have more detail about because Laozi, of course, become more advanced. So still, we may question Yang Zhu's philosophy is, does it work or doesn't work? And does it have a problem? But if we see it as an early philosophy, then later on in the Laozi's philosophy, it bring more, okay, it's talking about metaphysical Dao, talking about concept of wu wei, non-action, talking about pu, so-called uncarved block, okay, you should preserve your original self, okay, this. So we can see Laozi is a further developed, even not intentionally, okay, it's a further developed from the Yang Zhu's philosophy, kind of polish it, okay. Zhuangzi is considered by Huainanzi as the third phase of the Taoism development. He continued to talk about the equal. If you read on Zhuangzi chapter 2, talk about the equality of things. Okay, basically talk about everybody the same, right? Just like universalized, right? The tree, people, rich, poor, big birds, small birds, they all the same. And the data extend to the life and the death. How you treat your life and your death is no afraid of not feeling death. Okay, so a little bit the religious flavor already come in. Okay, identify self and others. So it brings the moral sense, okay, to Yang Zhu's philosophy. We don't know Yang Zhu has a moral sense or not. Okay, but since we lack of a lot of texts, we don't know. But at least to the Zhuangzi point of view, he already bring the moral sense of Yang Zhu's philosophy in this one. That's another reason now we can see Yang Zhu's flavor, or you can see Yang Zhu as the first phase of philosophy in Taoism philosophy. Another thing, Zhuangzi is very important. I think it's in his I forget which chapter. I think chapter 5 or something, talking about using things as things, not being used by things as things, right? You use external things, but don't want to be used, okay? In another way, you don't want to be being treated as a means, okay? You want to be the end of yourself. So that's also further considered as a further developed from Yang Zhu's philosophy. So here's I bring the quickly conclusion from Feng Youlan's writing. Feng Youlan said, from selfishness to selflessness, we may say the early Taoists were selfish, yet in their later development, this selfishness becomes reversed and destroyed itself. Okay, so that's Feng Youlan's argument. He said, 从私有我到无我, selfishness becomes selflessness. Okay, that's Feng Youlan's argument. And here I put in the purple text. That's my understanding. Some people may say that's okay. Well, that's I think that's the development. I think Yang Zhu is from the self-reliance, individualism, and later developed as a universalized individualism, which becomes selflessness. Okay, so this selflessness is different from Buddhism's selflessness. Okay, so in Buddhism, selflessness is kind of sunyata, based on the sunyata, which is empty. So in this world, there is nothing. From the beginning, it's zero, nothingness. So yourself is nothingness. But my understanding of Taoism, selflessness is not empty. It's evacuate self. You remove yourself. Why you remove yourself? If you follow the thought, at the beginning, you recognize yourself. You think it's for myself. If you want to take an ethical vision of egoism, so according to Kant, okay, you can do it, universalize it. You universalize the egoism. So you will recognize everybody is their own end. Everybody is their individualism. Everybody is individual. Then yourself become not important or it's not that important. That's why Feng Youlan talking about it reverses and it destroys the selfishness part. So that's my theory about the reverse from selfishness to selflessness. So that's it. And then I think I will skip this part about the Yangism in Mencius. Okay, so because next week we are going to talk about Mencius, and the Mencius I want to point is Yang Zhu cannot be some nonsense, totally selfish philosophy, because it's very popular during the Mencius time. Mencius say in this world, there's only two philosophies going on. One is Mohism, one is Yangism. So that's why he has the argument. So only thing I want to bring here is last one, so-called the Mo-Yang debate, Mohism Yang debate. That's very famous in Mencius talking. Okay, so you see, Mencius never talk about Zhuangzi. Okay, he never talk about other things. He constantly talk about Mohism, Yangism. Look like that's his arch-enemy. Okay, so you must know how popular of these two philosophies during his time, which is about 300 BCE. Mencius said, those who are fleeting from the error of Mo naturally turn to Yang. Okay, so if you find out Mohism doesn't work, you will go to Yang. And those who are fleeting from the error of Yang naturally turn to Confucianism. When they so turn, they should once simply receive. And okay, he talked about the situation is the people who reject Mohism teaching, they will become Yangism. And then when you are in Yangism, if you start to reject it, then you will become Confucianist. His argument is when you become Confucius, you should stay there. Okay, his example is like pursuing a pig, a stray pig, and when you can pen it, you just keep it. Okay, that's Mencius' example. And you can take in the today's point of view as Hegelian point of view, right? You see Mohism, okay, the 10 Caesars as a Caesars. Okay, Yang Zhu's Yangism argument is the other side. You can see is antithesis, right? And according to Mencius, right, the Confucius teaching is the synthesis. Okay, so that's what we are going to for next week. Okay, we talk about Mencius. Okay, and then of course, when the time move on to the world state in the Mencius time, the situation is different, and of course you will see the philosopher is a little bit different. So one thing I'd like to show is if you are interested in ethical egoism, right? One person, of course, is controversial, and you can go to YouTube or you can bookstore. There's another argument talking about him and read, right? So it's he talking about rational ethical egoism, and which opposed altruism. Just a quick word. According to her, sacrifice is the wrong thing. Okay, sacrifice others, sacrifice yourselves. They all wrong. Okay, that should not have a sacrifice. This concept. Okay, that's her argument. Okay, so I see her argument is very in alignment with agreement with Yang Zhu's argument. Okay, and in today's voice. So of course, I didn't read her book, and her famous book is called The Virtue of Selfishness. Okay, so if you are interested, and then go to YouTube, go to a lot of secondary sources or the original book, they're full of her. I also know they have a few meetup group talking about her. I just never joined. So that's another way if you want to understand Yang Zhu. Okay, anyway. If today's whole section you find out I'm talking about totally nonsense, totally evil philosophy, then you can go to another philosophy. Peter Singer, okay, the professor in the Princeton University, right? His argument is effective altruism. Okay, it can bring you to the concept of moism, right? The most important is you have to put all your effort to benefit the world, help others. That's his argument. Just totally opposite. If you disagree with Yang Zhu's argument, then you can go to the other direction. I just want to say Yang Zhu is not totally evil, and effective altruism is not always right. Okay, good example. Sam Bank Fireman, right? He is true belief of effective altruism. Okay, so but I'm not saying this philosophy is wrong or something, but when you practice moral philosophy, just be careful. If you want to know more about this one, a website called 80,000hours.org. Okay, basically tell you you have 80,000 hours to work, okay, in your life, and how are you going to spend these 80,000 hours to benefit the world? That's his book. So 2 books, okay, define. You can choose, right? Peter Singer, okay, the most good you can do, or you want to read and read The Virtue of Selfishness. Okay, next week we will go to the middle way. Okay, or you want to talk about Caesar's antithesis and the synthesis. Okay, which is Mencius. Okay, and then that will be next week. So I will end here, and we have a few minutes left. And then if you have question, comment, and welcome. Mark, please.
Yeah, I loved your presentation, Jason. I was pretty skeptical about this, about Feng Youlan's classification of the 3 phases of Taoism and putting Yang Zhu at the front. But I thought the references to chapter 13 of Tao Te Ching and chapter 3 of Zhuangzi, that was pretty impressive. So this has given me a lot to think about. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, great to say so. Okay, and you again, you don't have to agree on everything. Okay, but if this meetup can bring you some thought, and that's the purpose. So that's it. And other question, comment for today, for next week? No. And thank you, DLJ, to keep everybody safe for today. And
My pleasure.
okay, thank you, everyone. And then I'll see you next week.
Jason, I just wanted to say you put a lot of work into this, and always grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I cannot pay you. So
Well, not me. No, you. Well, you should be paying you.
well, thank you very much. And thank you for the people who not asking question also. Thank you. So
Good explanation. Thanks, Jason.
all right, see you.
Bye.